The Great Smoky Mountains National Park is the most visited park in America. But beneath its ancient trees lies a history of darkness. It is a place where people don't just get lost, they vanish without a trace. On Father's Day weekend, June 14, 1969, the Martin family hiked to Spence Field. It is a stunning grassy meadow famous for its panoramic views. It was supposed to be a peaceful trip. Instead, it became the setting for the most baffling cold case in national park history. 6-year-old Dennis Martin was playing hide and seek with his brother and 2 other boys. Dennis was wearing a bright red shirt, impossible to miss against the green forest. At exactly 4:30 p.m., the boys planned to jump out and scare the adults. 3 of the boys went one way. Dennis, perhaps seeing a better spot, stepped alone into a dense patch of rhododendron bushes. His father, Bill Martin, watched him go. He expected Dennis to jump out laughing in seconds. But the laughter never came. The other boys appeared, but Dennis was gone. His father ran to the bushes immediately. In less than 5 minutes, with his father watching the spot, the boy had simply evaporated. Panic exploded. The family tore through the brush screaming his name. But there were no footprints, no broken branches, and no sound. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Park rangers were alerted within hours. But nature turned against them. A massive storm struck that evening, unleashing torrential rain. In the world of search and rescue, this is a catastrophe. The rain washed away all scent trails and erased every footprint. By morning, the crime scene was clean. The search that followed was the largest in Park Service history. Over 1,400 people descended on the mountain. This included the National Guard, hundreds of volunteers, and seasoned trackers. They combed the mountains grid by grid. But then, the case took a bizarre turn. The FBI arrived. This is highly unusual for a lost child case unless kidnapping is suspected. Even more baffling was the arrival of 71 heavily armed Green Berets, U.S. Army Special Forces. Why were elite combat troops needed to find a 6-year-old? And why were they carrying live ammunition? Official reports said they were just helping, but their presence fueled decades of speculation. Strange reports began to filter out from the deep woods. Seasoned tracking dogs were brought in. But at certain locations, the dogs didn't just lose the trail, they stopped dead. Handlers reported the dogs trembling in fear, refusing to move forward, as if they sensed a predator that wasn't human. The most chilling evidence came from a tourist named Harold Key. He was hiking miles away on the same afternoon Dennis vanished. Key and his family heard an enormous, sickening scream that echoed through the mountains. Moments later, Key saw a rough-looking figure moving stealthily through the trees. He described it as a wild man, disheveled and moving unlike a normal hiker. The figure was carrying something over its shoulder. Harold Key told the FBI that the object on the man's shoulder looked like a small body. And it was wearing bright red. The timing matched perfectly. The description matched Dennis. Despite this explosive lead, authorities dismissed the sighting. They claimed the distance was too great for Dennis to have traveled. They labeled it unrelated. But bears don't run on 2 legs, and searchers don't kidnap children. Locals have long whispered legends of feral humans or wild men living deep in the Appalachian cave systems. These legends speak of people who have detached from society, living primitively. Key's description fit these legends terrifyingly well. Another disturbing detail came from legendary tracker Dwight McCarter. He noted that a footprint found near the scene didn't make sense. It showed one shoe missing, and a stride length that suggested movement at impossible speeds, or perhaps, that the boy was being dragged. Despite 1,400 searchers, the Green Berets, and the FBI, not a single trace of Dennis Martin was ever found. No shoes. No belt. No buttons. This is the most critical forensic detail. If Dennis had died of exposure and been scavenged by animals, the synthetic buttons on his shirt would remain. they do not decompose. Yet, in over 50 years, the forest has yielded absolutely nothing. The official explanation remains that Dennis got lost and died of exposure. But this fails to explain the armed soldiers, the terrified dogs, and the man seen carrying a child in red. The Martin family spent their lives searching for answers. Bill Martin died without ever knowing what happened to his son. The case changed search and rescue protocols forever, but for Dennis, it was too late. Today, Spence Field remains beautiful and quiet. But seasoned hikers know the rule: never step off the trail. The vegetation is so thick that you can be 10 feet away and remain invisible. Sound dies quickly in the dense brush. Was this a tragic accident? A kidnapping? Or did Dennis Martin encounter something primal in those woods, something the government sent special forces to hunt down? The FBI files remain heavily redacted. The questions remain unanswered. And the Great Smoky Mountains keep their secrets. Dennis Martin's story is a reminder that the wilderness is not a playground. It is wild, indifferent, and sometimes dangerous. Hold your loved ones close, because in the blink of an eye, a game of hide and seek can turn into an eternal mystery. What do you believe happened? Was it the elements, or something else? Leave your theory in the comments. This has been the Unseen Files. Stay safe, and watch your step.